Ditzy.
Ditzy.
Ditto.
Ditto.
I hated school. Ditto. Where should she go? Mississippi? Too hot. Ditto Alabama.
Ditty.
Ditty. Ditzy.
Ditzy.
Diuretic.
Diuretic.
Diurnal.
Diurnal. Diva.
Diva.
Opera diva Jessie Norman.
She's such a diva. She walked out of the interview because she thought the interviewer was rude.
Divan.
Divan.
Dive.
Dive.
She dived into a pool.
Diving off the cliffs is dangerous. The first time you dive on a coral reef is an experience you will never forget. The submarine began to dive. The aircraft appeared to dive vertically toward the crowd. Jackson dived after the ball.
We dived into a shop to avoid the rain. The soldiers were diving for cover. He dived into his pocket and produced a packet of cigarettes. The dollar dived against the yen in Tokyo today.
Harvey dived in with several questions. Harvey dived in with several questions.
She made a dive for the bathroom.
The news put shares in a dive. The team's fortunes have taken a dive this year.
Dive bomb.
Dive bomb.
Diver.
Diver.
Diverge.
Diverge.
The two species diverged millions of years ago.
Global growth rates are diverging markedly.
Here his views diverged from hers.
Divergence between the US and Europe.
Divergent views. Diverse.
Diverse.
Subjects as diverse as pop music and archaeology.
Diversify.
Diversify.
Farmers forced to diversify away from their core business.
The company is planning to diversify into other mining activities.
We need to diversify the economy. User requirements have diversified over the years.
Spread the risk by diversifying into dollar bonds.
Diversification of the rural economy.
Diversion.
Diversion.
The diversion of the river.
The diversion of funds into the military budget.
2 prisoners created a diversion to give the men time to escape.
Diversionary.
Diversionary.
Most children are skilled in diversionary tactics. Diversity.
Diversity.
The curriculum will take account of the ethnic diversity of the population. The curriculum will take account of the ethnic diversity of the population.
A diversity of opinions.
Divert.
Divert.
The company should divert more resources into research.
Officials diverted revenue from arms sales to the rebels.
Canals divert water from the Truckee River into the lake. Canals divert water from the Truckee River into the lake.
The high street is closed and traffic is being diverted.
Remember to divert your phone when you are out of the office.
The crime crackdown is an attempt to divert attention from social problems.
He'd been trying to divert suspicion away from himself. He'd been trying to divert suspicion away from himself.
Diverting.
Diverting.
A mildly diverting film. Divest.
Divest.
Pressure on hospitals to divest tobacco-related stocks.
Dad had long since divested himself of anything valuable. Dad had long since divested himself of anything valuable. Pedro divested himself of his overcoat.
The king was divested of all his wealth and power. The king was divested of all his wealth and power.
Divestment.
Divestment.
Divide.
Divide.
Scientists traditionally divide the oceans into zones.
The book is divided into 6 sections.
Here, the river divides into 3 channels.
The wall used to divide East and West Berlin.
Only a thin curtain divided her cabin from his. Only a thin curtain divided her cabin from his.
The money will be divided equally among the charities.
She divides her time between New York and Paris.
If you divide 21 by 3, you get 7.
What's 6 divided by 3? 2.
8 divides into 64.
The issue of cloning has sharply divided voters. The issue of cloning has sharply divided voters. Divorce is an agony of divided loyalties for children. A deeply divided society. The committee was divided over the proposal.
The North-South divide is characteristic of Britain.
People on both sides of the political divide. People on both sides of the political divide.
Divided highway.
Divided highway.
Dividend.
Dividend.
Good eating habits will pay dividends later on in life. Good eating habits will pay dividends later on in life.
Divider.
Divider.
A room divider.
Alphabetical file dividers.
Police saw his Mercedes speeding along the center divider. Police saw his Mercedes speeding along the center divider.
Dividing line.
Dividing line.
What's the dividing line between normal drinking and addiction?
Divination.
Divination.
Divine.
Divine.
Faith in divine providence.
Divine power. Divine love.
A divinely inspired idea.
Somehow the children had divined that he was lying.
A divining rod. Divine right.
Divine right.
Being my wife doesn't give you the divine right to read my mail. Being my wife doesn't give you the divine right to read my mail.
Diving.
Diving.
We went diving on the coral reef.
Diving bell.
Diving bell.
Diving board.
Diving board.
The divinity.
Divinity.
A graduate of Harvard Divinity School.
Divisible.
Divisible.
6 is divisible by 3.
The story is divisible into 3 parts.
Division.
Division.
The division of words into syllables.
The traditional division of labour between husband and wife.
Can he heal the deep divisions among Republican ranks?
The old class divisions had begun to break down.
The army was plagued by internal divisions.
The Computer Services Division.
A tank division.
A second division club.
MPs forced a division on the bill.
Some members supported the opposition in the division lobbies.
Divisional.
Divisional.
Divisional headquarters.
Divisive.
Divisive.
The strike was a divisive issue in the community. The strike was a divisive issue in the community.
Socially divisive policies. Socially divisive policies.
Divisor.
Divisor.
Divorce.
Divorce.
Why doesn't she get a divorce?
1 in 3 marriages ends in divorce.
His wife has started divorce proceedings.
The rise in the divorce rate. She received the house as part of the divorce settlement.
The Act extended the grounds for divorce.
The divorce between theory and method.
David's parents divorced when he was 6.
My father threatened to divorce her.
It is difficult to divorce sport from politics.
Our society has divorced itself from religion. Our society has divorced itself from religion.
Divorced.
Are you married, single, or divorced?
A divorced woman.
Anne is divorced from Simon's father.
My parents are getting divorced.
His ideas are completely divorced from reality. Divorcee.
Divorcee.
Divot.
Divot.
Divulge.
Divulge.
It is not company policy to divulge personal details of employees.
Claire divulged that she was recovering from a nervous breakdown. Claire divulged that she was recovering from a nervous breakdown. Claire divulged that she was recovering from a nervous breakdown.
The Pentagon refused to divulge what type of plane it was. The Pentagon refused to divulge what type of plane it was. Divvy.
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 We can divvy up the profits between us.
Diwali.
Diwali.
Dixie.
Dixie.
Dixieland.
Dixieland.
DIY.
DIY.
Dizzying.
Dizzying.
The riverbank rushed towards her with dizzying speed.
DJ.
DJ.
Gin.
Gin.
DNA.
DNA.
A DNA test showed that he was not the baby's father.
DNA profiling.
DNA profiling.
DNA sequencing.
DNA sequencing.
DNS parking. DNS parking.
Do. Do. Do you like bananas?
I don't feel like going out tonight.
Ian didn't answer.
Where do you live?
Doesn't Rosie look wonderful?
Don't listen to her.
You know Tony, don't you?
She didn't understand, did she?
Will Kay come? She may do.
So now you know as much as I do.
You forgot all about it. No, I didn't. I want to go home. So do I.
I didn't believe the story, and neither did he.
Do be careful.
You do look nice in that hat. You do look nice in that hat.
I do think she's behaved badly.
You should have warned me, but I did warn you.
He owns, or did own, a yacht. He owns or did own a yacht.
Do have another sandwich.
Have you done your homework yet?
You need to do more exercise.
It's a pleasure doing business with you. I didn't know what to do.
All he does is sit in front of the television all day. We should do something to help him.
It all happened so quickly that I couldn't do anything about it.
Bored teenagers with nothing to do.
It's your turn to do the dishes.
Students are under considerable pressure to do well.
You should get promoted after about a year, depending on how you're doing.
How's he doing in trying to give up smoking?
The scandal will do serious damage to his reputation.
This will do nothing for Jamie's confidence.
The colour does nothing for her.
Getting the job has done a lot for her self-esteem.
A week in the countryside will do you good.
Exercise can do wonders for body, mind, and spirit.
What do you want to do after you leave school?
What do you do for a living?
She's very good at what she does.
We don't have a lot of wine for the party, but it should just about do.
I can't find my black shoes, so these will have to do.
A few sandwiches will do me for lunch.
It won't do to say that the situation couldn't have been avoided.
What will you do for money if you leave your job? I'm not sure what we'll do for transport yet.
What's my coat doing on the floor?
What are you doing walking around at this time of night? What are you doing walking around at this time of night?
What on earth do you think you're doing?
It must take her ages to do her makeup in the mornings.
Who does your hair?
She did a year backpacking around the world. Oh yes, I certainly did my time in the army.
I did French for 5 years.
I was thinking of doing a casserole tonight.
We did 300 kilometres on the first day.
The car can do 120 miles per hour. They do interior and exterior design. We don't do food after 2 o'clock.
How are you going to do your living room?
We did Guys and Dolls last year.
In the evening, students are free to do as they please.
I wish you'd do as you're told.
Sensible? I don't do sensible.
He does a brilliant George Bush.
Let's do lunch next week.
He says he's never done hard drugs in his life.
Let's do the Eiffel Tower today.
Right, that does it. I'm not going to listen to any more of this. Right, that does it. I'm not going to listen to any more of this.
I've just got to prepare the dessert, and that should do it. Most people would do well to reduce the amount of salt in their diet.
What's doing at your place tonight?
Hi, Bob. How you doing?
His relations always did pretty well by him.
Oh, just go and do one.
People thought that the use of robots would do away with boring low-paid factory jobs.
I know you don't like him, but there's no need to keep doing him down in front of the boss. Working 100 hours a week nearly did for me.
He was planning to do himself in.
That walk really did me in.
The room was beautifully done out in pastel colours.
Are you trying to do me out of a job?
The whole apartment had been done over in an Art Deco style. The whole apartment had been done over in an Art Deco style.
If you make too many mistakes, you'll have to do it over. Do up your coat or you'll get cold.
A skirt which does up at the back.
They did up an old cottage in the Scottish Highlands.
The apartment was done up in Viennese style.
Sue spent ages doing herself up. Sue spent ages doing herself up. I could have done with some help this morning.
Their conversation had been largely to do with work.
I'm sorry about the accident, but it's nothing to do with me.
This question doesn't have anything to do with the main topic of the survey. I'm sure her problems have something to do with what happened when she was a child.
She didn't know what to do with herself after she retired.
What shall I do with these papers?
I wouldn't know what to do with a newborn baby.
What have you done with the remote for the TV?
What are you doing with my diary? I can't be doing with all this right now.
I don't have any sugar, so you'll have to do without.
You can do without a carpet, but you've got to have somewhere to sit.
You can do without all that hassle.
Those are the type of stupid remarks I can do without.
We're having a do to celebrate his 30th birthday.
The booklet lists the do's and don'ts of caring for dogs.
DOA.
DOA.
Doable.
Doable.
We've got to think first whether this plan is doable.
Dob.
Dob.
Doc.
Doc.
Docent.
Docent.
Docile.
Docile.
Labradors are gentle, docile dogs.
Dock.
Dock.
A crowd was waiting at the dock to greet them.
The ship is in dock for repairs.
James arrived at the docks expecting to see a luxury liner. James arrived at the docks expecting to see a luxury liner.
3 defendants stood in the dock.
These chemicals remain in the dock until we have more scientific evidence.
A dock leaf.
We docked at Rangoon the next morning.
The company has threatened to dock the officers' pay.
Users can dock a laptop to their desktop setup.
Docker.
Docker.
Docket.
Docket.
What's on the docket for tomorrow's meeting?
Docking station.
Docking station.
Docking system.
Docking system.
Dockland.
Dockland.
A dockland development.
Dockside.
Dockside.
Dock worker.
Dock worker.
Dockyard.
Dockyard.
Doctor.
Doctor.
She was treated by her local doctor.
I'd like to make an appointment to see Dr. Pugh.
Where's Sandy today? I think she's at the doctor's.
A doctor of law. A 2-0 victory is just what the doctor ordered.
He had doctored his passport to pass her off as his daughter. He had doctored his passport to pass her off as his daughter.
There are concerns that some players have been doctoring the ball.
Paul suspected that his drink had been doctored.
You should have your cat doctored.
Bill doctored the horses with a strong-smelling ointment.
Doctoral.
Doctoral.
A doctoral thesis.
Doctorate.
Doctorate.
She received her doctorate in history in 1998.
Doctor of philosophy.
Doctor of philosophy.
Doctrinaire.
Doctrinaire.
The party followed an increasingly doctrinaire course.
Doctrine.
Doctrine.
Traditional doctrines of divine power.
Marxist doctrine.
The announcement of the Truman Doctrine. Docudrama.
Docudrama.
Document.
Document.
His research documents how the crisis occurred.
It is well documented that men die younger than women.
Documentarist.
Documentarist.
Documentary.
Documentary.
A local film crew is making a documentary about volcanoes.
Documentary films. One of the most useful sources of documentary evidence is maps.
Documentation.
Documentation.
Applicants must provide supporting documentation.
A careful documentation of the costs.
Docusoap.
Docusoap.
Doddering.
Doddering.
A doddering old man.
Doddery.
Doddery.
Some of the patients are a bit doddery.
Doddle.
Doddle.
The exam was a doddle.
Dodge.
Dodge.
He ran across the courtyard, dodging a storm of bullets.
Helen clutched Edward's arm as they dodged through the traffic. Helen clutched Edward's arm as they dodged through the traffic. Senator O'Brien skillfully dodged the crucial question.
Businesses are investing in tree plantations as a tax dodge.
Dodge City.
Dodge City.
Dodgem car.
Dodgem car.
Dodgems.
Dodgems.
Dodger.
Dodger.
Dodgy.
Dodgy.
Norton Disk Doctor can perform miracles on a dodgy hard disk. Norton Disk Doctor can perform miracles on a dodgy hard disk.
Simon was rushed to hospital after eating what must have been dodgy prawns. One girl thought the men looked dodgy. Dodgy share dealings.
There were a few dodgy moments.
Dodo.
Dodo.
Doe.
Doe.
A pretty girl with big brown doe eyes. Doer.
Doer.
Dole is a doer, not a talker.
Does.
Does.
Doesn't.
Doesn't.
Doff.
Doff.
Dog.
Dog.
I could hear a dog barking.
He's taken the dog for a walk. We used to have a dog when I was young. The most popular breed of dog.
It's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
His wife's a nag who leads him a dog's life.
The orchestra made a complete dog's breakfast of the fourth movement. The orchestra made a complete dog's breakfast of the fourth movement. She was dressed up like a dog's dinner.
Boy, my dog's really hurt.
He has been dogged by injury all season.
Dog cart.
Dog cart.
Dog catcher.
Dog catcher.
Dog collar.
Dog collar.
Dog days.
Dog days.
Few opera houses survived the dog days of the 1980s.
Dog end.
Dog end.
Dog-eared.
A dog-eared novel.
Dogfight.
Dogfight.
Dogfish.
Dogfish.
Dogged.
Dogged.
A dogged determination to succeed.
Doggerel.
Doggerel.
Doggy.
Doggy.
Doggone.
Doggone.
What are those doggone kids doing in my yard?
Doggone. Doggy.
Doggy.
Doggy smells.
Doggy bag.
Doggy bag.
Doggy paddle.
Doggy paddle. Doghouse.
Doghouse.
Dogleg.
Dogleg.
Dogma.
Dogma.
The rejection of political dogma.
Dogmatic.
Dogmatic.
Her staff find her bossy and dogmatic.
The narrow dogmatism of the past.
Do-gooder.
Do-gooder.
I've got very little time for those interfering do-gooders.
Dog paddle.
Dog paddle.
Dog's body.
Dog's body.
I spent the summer helping out as a general dog's body.
Dog sled.
Dog sled.
Dog tag.
Dog tag.
Dog tired.
Dog tired.
Dog warden.
Dog warden.